The same immigrants, the same dialects, the same boats. They went to two places, Argentina and the United States. And the language they brought with them went in completely different directions. One got absorbed into a whole country's identity. The other survived underground, in kitchens and neighborhoods for generations. These are the words that prove it. Before we get into any of this, one thing has to be clear. The people who left Italy between the 1880s and 1920s oftentimes did not call themselves Italian. Italy had only unified in 1861. These people were Napolitano, Genovese, Sicilian, Calabrese. They spoke regional languages and dialects that oftentimes were mutually unintelligible. A man from Naples and a man from Genoa could not hold a conversation. And they arrived in two places in massive numbers. What happened to their language in each place is the story today. Argentina received more Italian immigrants proportionally than any other country. At peak immigration, Italians made up around 40% of the city of Buenos Aires. The dominant dialects/regional languages that came here were Neapolitan and Genovese. The Genovese specifically had been in Buenos Aires before this mass immigration period started. Merchant communities, port workers. When the waves hit, the Genovese immigrants were so tied to the Boca neighborhood of Buenos Aires and the port that Xenesi, the Genovese word for Genovese, became the name that the fans of the soccer club Boca Juniors call themselves today. Out of Neapolitan, Genovese, and Spanish, amongst other languages, came lunfardo, the street slang of Buenos Aires and the surrounding areas. Started in the conventillos, the tenement buildings. It got picked up by tango and eventually crossed every social class. I was in Buenos Aires in 2019 and Uruguay earlier this year in 2026, and the Rio Platense Spanish that you hear in the street, the words people throw around without obviously thinking about their origins, a lot of it comes from Italian dialect words. And like I said, many don't even know this. So here are some of the words. The first one, pibe, comes from the Genovese word pivello, meaning an apprentice or a young boy. Now it just means kid or guy. Diego Maradona was called el pibe de oro, the golden kid. Nobody is thinking that this came from Genovese when they say it. If anything, maybe they're thinking of Napoli, where Diego Maradona, el pibe de oro, is an icon. The second word is tano, shortened from Napoletano. This is what Argentines call Italians today. The word for the immigrant became the nickname. And this obviously leads back to the fact that there were so many Neapolitan immigrants to Buenos Aires. The third word is mina, from the Italian femmina, meaning woman. And the first syllable just got dropped. It now just means girl or woman in Rio Platense slang. It's completely standard, and it comes from the Italian language. The fourth word is fiaca, from the Italian word fiaco, meaning weak or sluggish. In Argentina, it means laziness, not having a desire to do anything. Tengo fiaca, I can't be bothered, I don't want to do anything, I'm feeling lazy. It's embedded in everyday speech. And the fifth word is chanta, from the Genovese word chanta puffi. Although both of them are still used, chanta is just more common. A chanta is a fraud or someone that's all talk. And it comes from the word chanta puffi, which is a swindler or someone who cheats you on a deal. And it's still used today in the Rio Platense slang, and no one really thinks connecting it back to the Genovese influence in this area. And then there's the accent itself. Rio Platense Spanish has a distinctive rise and fall, the intonation that sounds nothing like most other Spanish accents. Linguists have traced it back to the Neapolitan sing-songy sound. So even the intonation survived when maybe the language didn't as a whole. In the United States, the Italian immigration wave was much more southern instead of split like it was in Argentina. There were a lot of Sicilians, Calabrians, Neapolitans, etc. The pressure to assimilate was much more intense, English or nothing, as fast as possible. This was a little bit of a different immigration experience than what all the immigrants had to deal with when arriving to Argentina. The dialect words or the regional language words that survived did so in the kitchen, the family, the neighborhood. And they sometimes made it 3 or 4 generations, like in my case, where they're still used in Italian-American families. So they're still here, and a lot of people don't realize they're speaking an anglicized version of Neapolitan or Sicilian. Although at the end of the day, Neapolitan is what really dominated the slang. And here are some of the words. Ashpett, from Italian aspetta, meaning wait. The S is softened to the sh sound in Neapolitan pronunciation, and the final vowel dropped. This is a very well utilized word in an Italian American household. Third and fourth generation Italian Americans that don't even speak Italian know this one and understand it. The second word is chooch, from the Italian word ciuccio, utilized mostly in southern Italy to refer to a donkey. It became the word for a fool, someone not thinking straight, said with exasperation as much as affection. Don't be a chooch. The third word, stunad, from the Italian word stonato, meaning out of tune or off key, evolved to mean thick-headed or someone who's not getting it. Are you stunad? Almost always said by an Italian American mother, and then followed by a sigh. The fourth word is mamaluke, coming from the Sicilian word mamaluco, a fool or a simpleton, one of the cleaner Sicilian regional language or dialect words that made it through. It shows that not only the Neapolitan dialect words made it through, some Sicilian ones did too, as the regional communities mixed over the generations. And then the fifth word is mannagg, from the Neapolitan male ne aggia, may evil come to it. Compressed into mannaggia in Southern Italian speech, and compressed even further in Italian American speech. This is what you say when something burns, spills, or goes wrong. Mannaggia America, mannaggia diavola. Something a lot of you probably heard your grandparents saying. Actually, if this is your world, I put 15 of these Italian American words together in a book. Every word has the origin, what it means, how it was used, and a memory line that's going to hit if you grew up in an Italian American family. It's called Italian Diaspora Words Volume I, and it's available in ebook only. The link is below in the description if you want to get your very own or gift it to someone to not forget the words of Italian America. So back to Argentina and the United States with these Italian dialect and regional language words. It was the same source, the same era, and a lot of the same dialects. In Argentina and Uruguay, these words moved into the mainstream, into tango, into everyday speech, into the national accent, because there were so many Italians that went to this area. Lunfardo started off as a street slang, and now it is something that people are proud of and how they even talk in the modern day. In the United States, these words stayed pretty subcultural. In the family, in the neighborhood, amongst people of Italian descent only typically, or people who grew up around a lot of Italian Americans. In both cases, people using these words today often have no idea where they come from or the history of them. A porteño using the word pibe isn't thinking about Genoa. An Italian American saying Ashpett isn't thinking about Napoli. The dialects and regional languages in the 20th century that Italy spent standardizing away, pushing out in favor for Italiano standard, those dialects are still alive in the greater region in Argentina, parts of Uruguay, and in neighborhoods in New York City, Chicago, and beyond. Just unrecognized, adapted, and different. It's not just Italian that survived in some areas of the diaspora. It's regional. Specifically, the dialects and regional languages that were being pushed out of Italy. So whether it's lunfardo in Buenos Aires, or someone using one of these traditional Italian American phrases in your house, the story is the same. The language didn't die, it just went somewhere else and adapted. Drop in the comments, what words did you grow up with from lunfardo or Italian American slang? I want to hear them. And if this is the kind of history that matters to you, this is what Oriundi is all about. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Ciao for now, e alla prossima.